Hi boys and girls, it's Marci Chavalas and it's story time. I'm so excited to read this story with you today. This is a very special book about a very special man named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a famous American who led people to come together. He fought for justice, peace, equality, and so many other things. This book is special because it's got a number of awards, as you can see on it. The Caldecott Honor, the Coretta Scott King Award, and the Best Illustrated Children's Book by the New York Times Book Review for 2001. I hope you'll enjoy reading this story. For all you AR readers, it is level 3.4, worth a half a point, and it's quiz number 57412. Are you ready to dive into Martin's Big Words by Doreen Rappaport, illustrated by Brian Collier? I am. Let's grow. Here we go. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs, white only. His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. You are as good as anyone. Boys and girls, this is very, very sad. And it's a sad part of American history. At one point in time, actually many points in time, there was the exclusion of people who were different. In this picture, it shows white only. That means people with light skin could go into this nice business and nobody else could go. People whose great-grandparents and grandparents and parents came from Europe. Martin, his family wasn't from there. He has darker skin, and that at that time they believed wrong things about people who looked different than them. And so they had signs up that were unfair that said only certain people could go to restaurants, watch movies, walk down certain streets, things like that were just unkind and wrong. So I love what Martin's mom said to him when he saw that and he felt bad because he was being excluded. His mom said, that's not true. You are as good as anyone. No matter what these horrible rules in our law were at the time, he is still valuable. Absolutely. Let's keep reading. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too. This is really cool too, seeing how Martin's faith, his belief in God, helped him to feel good about who he was and to help him to deal with those really mean things that were happening all over the country at that time. So Martin read in the Bible. The Bible taught him that he was valuable. He was important. He was made in God's image, just like God. And he was God's child. So I love that those words made him feel good and he took comfort in his faith. Let's keep reading. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. Isn't that true, boys and girls? Everyone can be great. There's a purpose for each and every one of you. You have a special job to do that makes the world a better place. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Can you remember where he's getting these ideas from? That's right, from reading and studying the Bible. That was very important to Martin. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. And a lot of you are wondering what's going on here. At the time, remember those signs we saw earlier that said white only? On buses, if you were not white, you'd have to go sit in the back of the bus, which is a place that not many people wanted to be. And if you were white, you got to sit in the front of the bus. Now, in this particular bus, everything in the back was full, and in the front was full. So there's very few seats. Rosa was sitting where she was supposed to sit, but somebody got on the bus, a white person got on the bus and said, well, I want your seat anyway. And she was tired of these unfair rules and said no. She was sitting in the right place and she went to jail. That was really not fair. And I'm glad the people decided to say, you know what, this is enough. We need to stand up and draw attention to these unfair rules. Peaceably. Let's take a look at the next page. What's going to happen? For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. Can you imagine that? Over a year. You walking to school with your family, you walking to church, you walking to work, your parents walking to work, everywhere you go, instead of riding there, you have to walk. That's in the rain, in the snow, in the heat, in the cold. That's a big sacrifice to stand up for what you believe. But this is what they did. They were brave and courageous. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. That is right. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Wait? For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. I can understand what they must be feeling. They're not being treated fairly, and everyone's telling him to just wait and keep on being treated unfairly. I wouldn't want to wait either. It's not right. I liked how they continued to ask for the things that they deserved. And they did so with great dignity and honor. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. That must have been very difficult not to fight back. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed. His brother's house was bombed. But he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement. Wow. I wonder what that would be like to someone put a bomb in my house to kill me and my family's house. That is just really scary. And he kept on trusting in God to get him through those very, very hard times when it would be easy to give up, when it'd be safe to give up. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protests, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Now that's a big word, segregation. Segregation means separating people based on where their families came from, what they look like. So segregation is separating people, just like we saw those signs earlier where it said white only. So after 10 years of protests, the government said, let's not do this anymore. So it's now not okay to do that. It's not legal to do that. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. The Nobel Peace Prize is a big deal. It's a super special award given to someone around the world, one person who just really did something that made a difference towards peace. So that is really cool that he won that. And I liked how he continued to stand up for what he believed. Just because the laws changed doesn't mean people were changing and following those laws. So it was still important for him to continue to teach others to love one another. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with him. On his second day there, he was shot. He died. No, that's so terrible. That was not okay. He was doing things to bring people together. Some people really did not like that. So much so they killed him. Very sad, sad day. His big words are alive for us today. Even though he passed away, even though he was killed, we still are learning from him and from the big words, the words that he spoke and the words that he read from the Bible to remind us of freedom, peace, togetherness, dreams, and love to help us come together. Wow, what a beautiful story. I hope you'll take time to read this book on your own. It has lots of important dates, some additional books and websites for you to explore. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you for reading along with me. If you liked Martin's big words, go ahead and click the like button. If you want to hear more stories, don't forget to click subscribe below. Until then, have a great day. Goodbye.